Hey guys, good morning. We are diving into God's Word together this morning. Excited to see what He has in store for us. We are going to be in Galatians chapter 5, going to be finishing out chapter 5. And we're going to be in verse 24. And it says, And those who are Christ's have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another, and envying one another. This comes right after the kind of a dissertation on what are the fruits of the flesh, what are the fruits of the Spirit, and then there's this powerful statement. And oftentimes we don't read this part, but when we're Christ, and there is this sense that we have crucified. There's an expectation that our flesh would be crucified. What does that mean? Well, there's the vile passions, the lusts of the flesh that continuously kind of burst forth through our lives. And when they happen, there's this hope that we would just say, you know what, that is such against God that I would like to put it to death. I'd like to crucify it. There's this strong sense of, when you crucify something, not only do you just put it to death, but there's this sense of torture, this sense of evil, this understanding of justice that must take place. And even though it's it's a part of what happens in our life, it shouldn't be something that remains in our life. And that's something that we always need to be looking out for, right? Every time there would be one of those fruits of the flesh that rise up in our own life, that we should want to be able to say, you know what, I am done with that. I am now Christ. I'm a child of God. Christ has crucified himself for me, so therefore I would have no problem taking those things that are naturally against him and crucifying them so that I might be able to live by the Spirit, the very thing that the Lord has given us. And so that's why it says that if we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit, right? That we've now gained life through the Spirit, and as a result, our lives should be lived in the Spirit. That we should start to make decisions that start to come alongside of the fruits of the Spirit, the love, the joy, the peace, the patience, the kindness, the goodness, the faithfulness, the gentleness, the self-control, that starts to become the defining indicators of what a follower of Jesus Christ actually is going to look like, because that would be what it looks like to walk in the Spirit. And then it would finish out. It says, "Let us not become conceited, provoking one another and envying one another." Right? That there's this now sense too that when we're working in the Spirit and we look at others who are followers of Jesus Christ, that one, we don't become puffed up like I've got it all figured out because I'm producing more fruit. That's silly. Or kind of constantly egging somebody on like we would have in the flesh, or being envious of how somebody else is gifted and you're not. At the end of the day, God has gifted each person who in this world, but specifically as followers of Christ, in unique and special ways. And when we walk in the Spirit, we start to see those really come to life. And that's my hope always, is that I get to see how somebody has been gifted by God, can be used by God, and ultimately, right, when you're walking in the Spirit, there's so much fruit that gets to be produced in your life. So what do I say? What do I encourage you with today? Consider the ways of your flesh. How are you crucifying them? You live in the Spirit. You have life in the Spirit because of the work of the Spirit. Now walk in the Spirit. Let that be a big part of your life, and get your eyes off other people.